In 2020, I was diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer. As you can imagine, my life totally flipped upside down. I spent a year and a half of my life being a full-time patient. I was in the hospital 4 times, once for an entire month. I had chemo, I had a bone marrow transplant. I moved to Houston for a clinical trial. It was a big deal. But I was a beginning student of Buddhism. And once the initial shock of the diagnosis wore off, I had a realization. I knew that suffering could be a great teacher, and I was about to suffer a lot. So I thought, I'm probably about to suffer enough that if I make it through this, I'm going to be enlightened. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. But but I did learn a lot from the experience. To say the least, it was humbling to completely lose my independence. I moved back in with my parents and I could get dressed, I could shower, but that was really all I could do for myself. My parents cooked for me, they drove me everywhere. I could barely walk around the block. And while it was physically a very challenging time, emotionally, it was actually one of the most beautiful and peaceful times of my life because of a few reasons. First, I was completely removed from the normal pressures of being in your late 20s. And I didn't worry about how I looked or my job or if I was interesting enough or cool enough. And then between treatments, when I was with my family and friends, I appreciated those moments more than I ever had because of the specter of my own mortality, and I realized how precious they were. And then the big one is that I was surrounded by a beautiful group of angels who had been there all along, but I hadn't really seen fully until I was sick. And just to tell you a few of the things that I saw, there was a neighbor who, without asking, cooked my parents' dinner every single week for an entire year. I had friends, some of whom are in this room, who flew to see me when I was in treatment in Salt Lake and in Houston. Some of them got Airbnbs and stayed for weeks to keep me company. A stranger went through a painful operation to donate his bone marrow so that I could have a chance at survival. And the letters and text messages and gifts were countless. And I remember being there and thinking wow, I don't wish cancer on my worst enemy, but I so wish that other people could see the beauty that I'm seeing right now in the world. I don't think that most people get to see how much love they're surrounded by. And I got to see it. I got to see, experience this freedom and see this just unreal outpouring of love. And there was one day, a quiet day between treatments when I was folding laundry in my parents' basement, and my hair was gone, my face was puffy from steroids. I hadn't worked in months, but I was happy. And I thought to myself, I was if/when I get better from this, I can't lose this feeling. I can't lose touch with the beauty that surrounds me. And I made a promise to myself. I was I'm not going to lose this. So luckily the treatment worked, and I stumbled my way back into an adult life. I got a job again. I moved to New York. I had a really fun party girl phase. And I got my normal life back, which is the goal when you're sick, is to get your life back. But with that return to normalcy, I lost that window into seeing how much beauty was in the world closed. And I remembered feeling it. I remembered my promise to hold on to it. But I lost touch with it. And I thought to myself, I was okay, I got a window into that. That was a blessing. And maybe you just can't hold on to that. It's something that you get to see maybe once or twice in your lifetime, but it's not always available. And then this year, I started taking meditation and Buddhism more seriously. I've been interested in it since I was 12, but never allowed myself to really go into it. I went on a meditation retreat, and a friend encouraged me to join this training, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do this training. I applied on the last day, and on my second day, I think I cried when we taught meditation. I was like, oh my God, I meant to do this. But really, the past 80 days, I've meditated every day. I've studied the philosophy. I've sat with myself and really faced myself and my thoughts and my emotions and shared space with all of these other weirdos who think that you can sit with your eyes closed and change the world. And I have sort of like reopened that window into the beauty that I saw when I was sick. And I feel blessed. I feel so lucky that I got to experience seeing that in the world without, having the training to meditate. And then I now feel like I've been giving the tools to access that again. And in preparing for this talk, I was like, is it meditation? Is it the people? Like, I still feel like I don't have the answers or really know what it is, but I have been blessed by so many people in my life who got me to this training, who are in this training, who are with me when I was sick. And I keep coming back to the quote, you can't do it alone, or no one can do it for you, but you can't do it alone. Thank you.